On April 1st, 1976, the Consolidated Rail Corporation, or Conrail for short, was established. Its main goal was to get the United States rail economy back on track after its predecessor, Penn Central, creamed on everything in the worst way possible. But the climb to success was very slow for Conrail. They were struggling to gain solid profits. However, they were doing a much better job at managing everything than Penn Central. They were closing off lines that weren't getting them enough money, or just flat out were the cause of them losing money. So they kept the lines that were profitable. Although the climb to success was slow, everything was going alright for Conrail. But in 1979, Conrail CEO Edward Jordan reached out to the Fat Control of the Northwestern Railway to see if he could lease one of his engines for the time being until Conrail could gain a solid profit and build off of that. Yes, hello? Who's this? Oh, hey, Edward Jordan. What can I do for you? You're running a railroad company in the US called Conrail? Okay, cool. And why are you ringing me exactly? Oh, you're struggling to gain profits for your railroad? Okay. And what do you want me to do? Send one of my engines over there to help? Is that what you want? Okay, I'm looking at one outside right now. I'll ask to see if he wants to come over to the US. If I do manage to get an engine over to the US for you, it may take a month or two because you know how ships are. Yeah, alright, I'm just gonna go outside and talk to him real quick. I'll talk to you later, bye. The engine that was outside was Thomas. He was with Andy and Clara picking up passengers getting ready to go to Farquhar on his branch line just like usual. But just when he was about to leave, Fat Controller quickly came up to him. Thomas, hold on just a sec. Can I ask a favor? Oh, sure sir. What is it? Well, I was just on the phone with a CEO of a railroad company in the United States. He says he's struggling to gain a profit, and he asked if I could lease one of my engines to the US to help out. Would you like to do that? You want me to go to the US and help this man with his railroad? Yup. Thomas was speechless. He had always wanted to see the world, but having a favor like this come so soon just took him off by surprise. Either way, he was very eager to go to the US and see how they did things. I'd love to, sir. Yes, sir, of course. Of course I'm gonna help, sir. That's a good engine. I knew I could count on you. I'm gonna go back on the phone with the CEO of the railroad company in the US, and I'll organize a ship for you to get on to go to the US. Okay, sir. Right. Now, you better go. I don't want you to be late, and you know how I am with late engines. Yes, sir. I'll go right away, sir. That's a good engine. Thank you, Thomas. No problem, sir. And with that, Thomas puffed away, leaving the Fat Controller very satisfied. As Thomas got out of sight, the Fat Controller went back into his office to phone the CEO of Conrail and tell him what happened. The next day, the Fat Controller went to go see Thomas. He had just made a phone call with the CEO yesterday about sending Thomas to the US. Alright, Thomas, just do your work as usual, but 11 o'clock, come to Tidmouth Station to see me, and then we'll send you over to Brenham Docks to get you on a ship that'll take you over to the US at 12. Alright, sir, I got it. Alright, that's a good engine. Now, go and do your normal work, and I'll see you at 11. Alright, sir, see you then. And with that, Thomas puffed away. For the next few hours, Thomas did his usual work, going up and down his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle, delivering passengers, and taking trucks to wherever they needed to go. But when the clock struck 11, Thomas went straight to Tidmouth to meet up with the Fat Controller. Ah, Thomas, you made it. Now let's get you to Brendan. Yes, sir. And with that, the Fat Controller entered Thomas's cab and off the little blue tank engine went. As Thomas rolled down the main line, the Fat Controller decided it'd be a good time to have a chat with him. How are you feeling about this, Thomas? A little nervous, but I'm mostly excited because I'm really eager for this. That's good to hear. Now remember, this dude is struggling enough with his railway, so I do not need you being cheeky and running all over the place and causing havoc, because both you and I know how you get when you're cheeky. Yes, sir. I'll be on my best behavior, sir. That's a good engine. I knew I could count on you. A bit of traveling later, Thomas arrived at the docks. Busy as usual, but when he looked to his left, he saw a massive cargo ship bound for the United States. Whoa! Is that the ship I'll be riding on? The Fat Controller got out of Thomas's cab and went up to the blue tank engine. Yes, Thomas, that's the ship you're riding on. Now remember what I said, Thomas. Be on your best behavior, no cheekiness, and I mean it. Alright? I'm trusting you with this one. I sincerely promise to you, sir, I will be on my best behavior. Good. Very good, Thomas. Alright, looks like you're about to get lifted onto the ship. Be safe out there, Thomas, alright? I will, sir. Bye. See you in a few years, Thomas. What? What do you mean in a few years? Oh, I forgot to tell you this, my apologies, but I'm putting you on lease to the railroad company for 3 years. It'll be until they can gain more profits, and only then can you come back here. Oh, no problem, sir. That's no problem at all. I'll do my very best to help the railroad company, sir. Good. That is very good, Thomas. I like what I'm hearing from you. Alright. Be safe out there, Thomas. I will, sir. Goodbye. Goodbye, Thomas. Once Thomas was loaded on the ship, the crew members did their final checks. And once everything was safe and set, the ship was ready to leave. And with a few blasts of its horn, the ship left the docks and out into the ocean it went. Good luck, Thomas, my number one. On the journey, Thomas couldn't stop thinking about what the Fat Controller had said. On one hand, he was feeling pretty nervous about being away from home for so long, but on the other hand, he was feeling pretty ecstatic about going to another country and working there. Well, I've always wanted to see the world, so this is basically me getting what I wished for. Little did Thomas know, he would be right in more ways than one. After 2 months of traveling, Thomas finally arrived in the United States of America. Once he was dropped on the rails, he looked around and saw skyscrapers, bridges, rail lines, just about anything you could imagine in America. Needless to say, the little blue tank engine was amazed by what he saw. Wow, look at all this stuff. It's amazing, and the buildings, oh my goodness. They're just so impressive. The quality they put into them are just, I can't even talk right now. It's just breathtaking. Just then, a smartly dressed man walked up to Thomas. Oh, hello there. You must be Thomas. Indeed I am. Where exactly am I? Well, my friend, you are in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, one of the finest cities on this side of the Mississippi. The Mississippi? Yeah, the Mississippi River. It's one of the largest in the world. Have you not heard of it? No, I'm not really familiar with America. But I'll tell you this, mate, it is phenomenon. Just like looking at everything, all the buildings and stuff is just wow. Yeah, I know. Oh, where are my manners? I'm Edward Jordan. I'm the CEO of Conrail. Conrail? What's that? Oh, it's the railroad you're going to be working on for the next couple of years. We're going to have you on a multi-year contract until we can get our profits up. If we were able to get profits up early, your contract will be shorter and you'll be able to be sent home earlier. But if not, you're going to be staying here for a bit longer to help us. Is that alright? Of course it is. My controller sent me to help after all. Oh yeah, about him. He's told me quite a few things about you, how you're really useful and stuff. Always willing to help, even a bit cheeky sometimes, but hey, aren't we all? Seeing how you're going to be a part of my fleet for a bit, I'll send you up to the Juniata shops in Altoona to get you a makeover. The Juniata shops? Yeah, it's basically one of my major workshops on the Conrail system. If you're wondering where Altoona is, it's like 200 miles out west down that way. Oh, sweet. Can I call you sir? Is that alright? Of course you can call me sir. Well, I better let you get to it, so I'll catch you later, Thomas. You too, sir. And with that, Thomas puffed off to Altoona. At the Juniata shops, Thomas was getting his NWR decals replaced with Conrail ones. The Conrail decals had the Conrail can opener logo and the Conrail lettering underneath. Once everything was ready, Thomas left the shop to do some work. Thomas did all sorts of jobs on the Conrail system, from shunting in big yards and delivering short freight trains from city to city, to banking long heavy freight trains over steep mountain passes such as the infamous Horseshoe Curve. While Conrail's profits weren't getting any better, no one could deny that Thomas was doing a fantastic job and was being a really big help to the railroad. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, Thomas was really beginning to enjoy himself on Conrail. He was getting along really well with Conrail's fleet and had made quite a few close friends while he was at it. Though he was beginning to miss his old friends on Sodor, he could not deny that working on another railway in another country was actually pretty thrilling. One night, Thomas would discover even more of Conrail and dive even deeper into American railroad history, but not in a good way. It was a cold autumn's night. Thomas was 1 year into his contract with Conrail, and he and an SW1200 switcher named Gary were tasked with taking a short freight train up to the northern tip of Pennsylvania.
Are you ready for this, Thomas?
Ready as I'll ever be, but where exactly are we taking this train to?
A town up in the north. I've been there before, so I'll guide you.
Oh, sweet. But why aren't you up front then?
Natural causes.
Fair enough.
Alright, that's our cue. Just focus on the track ahead, and I'll tell you the directions, okay?
Okay, Gary, I trust you. Alright, you can do this, just deliver the train. No pressure. With two blasts of his whistle and some wheel split, Thomas and Gary smuggled the train out of Altoona and onto the Conrail main line. The journey so far had been uneventful. The trees gently danced in the breeze, and the moon provided a stunning backdrop as Thomas and Gary ventured down the line with their freight train. It was a full moon too, which made the scenery even more stunning. Though this made Thomas a little uneasy because of the dense forest they're in. But he carried on nonetheless. Though, at the back of the smoke box, he couldn't help but feel that he was being watched by something. Or someone. Somewhere in the Allegheny National Forest, Thomas and Gary were tearing through the tree-covered corridor at high speed. At first, everything was going smoothly. The moon shone through the branches, casting long, eerie shadows over the forest, making the branches look like swaying hands trying to catch Thomas and grab him off the tracks like he was a toy train. While this made the blue tank engine deeply uncomfortable, he tried not to think about it too much. Suddenly, he heard it, the sound of humming, but it wasn't the wind that was humming, but it was a female voice that was humming. Who's doing that? Thomas looked around, trying to catch the source, but all he saw were trees, slightly withered rows, trees, and two squirrels doing the nasty. The sight of the squirrels made Thomas a little queasy, but he tried not to think about it. He was more focused on trying to find who was humming and where it was coming from. As he rounded a blind curve, he saw two silhouettes standing on the tracks. He slammed on his brakes and screeched to stop. When he came to a stop, he saw that the silhouettes were two little girls. This would have been normal because kids went outside quite a bit during those days. But these girls were not normal at all. They were wearing dresses that were stained with dark red, and the sight that made Thomas nearly scream in utter horror were their eyes, or where their eyes were supposed to be. They were gone. All that were in their place were two hollow black voids that stared back at the little blue tank engine. Gary, who was behind Thomas and facing the other direction, had no idea why Thomas had stopped, nor what he was looking at.
Thomas, what's going on? Why'd we stop?
Thomas didn't respond. His face was filled to the brim with pure terror as he stared at the girls. The girls stared back at the number one engine with their hollow black eyes.
Thomas, come on. We gotta get a move on. You can't be late.
Again, Thomas said nothing. Gary was starting to get frustrated by Thomas's silence.
In case you've forgotten, this is an important shipment for that town in northern Pennsylvania. We can't be late, so I won't have you slacking off in this delivery. Now speak up, you uncooperative tank, and tell me why you've stopped.
As soon as Gary locked eyes with the girls, his frustration was quickly replaced with fear.
Oh, hell no.
What does "oh hell no" mean, Gary? Before Gary could say anything else, one of the girls giggled. Then the other one giggled. And without warning, the sound of tearing flesh was heard. Thomas and Gary watched in absolute horror as tentacles rose out of the girls' mouths and their hollow eye sockets. The two screamed as they shot back against the train and reversed away from the girls as fast as their wheels could carry them. Gary rushed through the forest in reverse at high speed, wanting to get as far away from the girls as possible. But there was trouble ahead. A switch had been set to the siding. Thomas and Gary raced into the siding and applied their brakes to the bumpers, but it was too late. With a piercing crunch, everything smashed through the bumpers onto the tracks. Thomas and Gary knew that they were screwed. The girls had cornered them to the engines, and they had nowhere left to go. Suddenly, when they thought it was all over, they heard the sound of the Leslie R.A. train. Out of the bushes, rushing towards the girls on the bullet was a hot-shot TOSD Conrail intermodal train. With a sickening crash, right through the two girls at high speed. The two girls screamed as they evaporated into thin air. Once the intermodal went past, everything went silent. Jesus Christ!
Holy smokes! That was too close! Thomas, are you alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. It's just, who on earth were those girls and what happened to them? Gary said nothing. Just then, the conductor walked up to the two engines. He got out of his caboose after it had slammed into the buffers and off the tracks. Okay boys, I've got some good news and bad news. Bad news, the caboose suffered quite a bit of damage after you guys rammed it through the buffers and off the tracks. Good news, only one of the bogies on the caboose is off the tracks, meaning the other bogie is still on the tracks, and all you two have to do is just pull on the caboose and the other bogie will just slide back onto the tracks with ease. Phew, that's good then. Indeed. But why did you two go in a full reverse like that? Well, my brakes weren't working properly, and we kind of stalled. So we went back just a little too quick, and we hit the buffers. Oh, I see. You should get your brakes checked over then, Thomas. Thomas wanted to tell the conductor the truth, but he was worried that he would just call him a crazy engine. So he came up with the lie to avoid the drama. The two engines began pulling on the consist, and the conductor watched as the caboose slowly began to make its way back on the track. Finally, after much tugging and wheel slipping, the rear bogie of the caboose slithered its way back onto the tracks. The conductor walked back to his caboose, and when he got there, he flashed his green lamp at Thomas and Gary. Heeding the signal, Thomas gave 2 toots of his whistle, and off into the night they went. When they arrived, Thomas and Gary left their train in a nearby yard and went over to a nearby engine shed to rest for the night, as they did not feel like going back to Altoona, especially after seeing those girls in the Allegheny National Forest. Thomas struggled to sleep, but eventually his eyes grew heavier and heavier, and he was just closing them. But then,
I've seen them before.
Thomas's eyes popped open as he looked at Gary. What do you mean you've seen them before?
Those girls in the forest. It wasn't the first time I saw them.
Thomas raised an eyebrow. Really?
Yeah. Conrail was 1 year into its operation when I had my first encounter with these girls. One night, me and a friend of mine, we used to work at the Penn Central. We're taking a short local flight train up the line to some other town. Then we saw them. Some stained dresses, some hollow eyes, some tentacles. We are more fortunate. We docked into an abandoned line and the girls went straight past us, screaming and laughing maniacally as they ran. After my second encounter with you out there, it brought back memories I tried to bury. I guess it all turned out to be a waste now.
Oh, bust my buffers. Gary, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
It's alright. It's not your fault. That's life. It doesn't go the way you want sometimes. It is what it is. I'm tired. Let's get some rest. You've got a long ride home in the morning.
Alright. Good night, Gary.
Good night.
The next morning, Altoona was as busy as ever. Freight trains came and went every second, and cars were either being sorted out onto freight trains or into sidings. Tony, an SD45 locomotive, was getting geared up for a long run to Chicago with a mixed freight train. He couldn't leave yet because his crew were filling out paperwork and doing their checks. Just then, he heard a familiar horn. It was Gary and Thomas, who had returned from their night freight run.
Oh, you're back. How was your night run?
It was alright. Just your regular night run. Nothing special.
Yeah. Doesn't get any better than that. Tony saw that his friends were a bit pale. Are you guys alright? You still look like a seen a ghost. Funny you say that because in the forest we saw these two girls. Their dresses were stained with red and their eyes were just black. And they had these tentacles coming out of their eyes and mouths. It was horrific. They had us caught in a siding, but then another train came by and they just ran them over. Look, I know this might sound crazy, and forgive me if you think, we're just out of our minds, but it all felt so real, and I still can't get the screws out of my smoke box. Tony frowned, took a deep breath. You saw Lily and Abigail, didn't you? Thomas and Gary's faces contorted into confusion. Who?
Huh? Who are Lily and Abigail?
Those creepy girls you saw out in the forest that you described? That's who Lily and Abigail are. Or at least they once were. Once were? What are you talking about? I don't understand. What are you getting at with this? Well, it was a story I found out while I was working on the Erie and Lackawanna Railroad. It was from one of the workers named Jonathan, who told me a pretty disturbing story about an accident that happened in the Allegheny National Forest over 2 decades back that involved Lily and Abigail. From what I've heard, they got killed. Okay, how did they get killed exactly? What happened? It's a disturbing story. You think you can handle it?
We nearly got turned into scrap metal thanks to those girls last night. So I think we can handle whatever you are about to unleash on us.
Alright, you asked for it. Now let me see if I can remember. So, the story goes something like this. And this was the story Tony told. Back in the 1950s, there was a town that was located near a train station on a line that was owned by the Erie Railroad. In this town lived 2 little girls, Lily and Abigail. They were sisters, and a close bunch too. They did everything together. Hell, they even went to the same school, which wasn't a surprise. But what happened to them took a lot of people by surprise, and not the good kind. They were walking along a railroad track one night. This took place on a cold autumn night, actually. They loved trains, like really loved trains. Every day after school, they would go to the local train station and watch the trains go by. Whether it be passenger or freight trains, they didn't mind. As long as it was a train, they would just watch it, for all that was worth. Sadly, this love for trains would come at a heavy price. See, they were just walking along the train track, just normal, talking about life and stuff, sister stuff basically. But then, Abigail's foot got stuck in the tracks, and Lily tried to pull her out. This wouldn't be much of a concern if they didn't hear a train whistle echoing in the distance, signifying that a train was fast approaching them. As the locomotive's headlight came into view, the girls panicked. Lily pulled on Abigail harder and harder, desperate to free her sister from the tracks. The engineer noticed and slammed on the brakes of his locomotive. What came next? When the train rolled to a stop, the engineer and his fireman quickly jumped out of the locomotive to check on the girls. What they found was absolutely awful. The girls were just beyond recognition, battered in so many ways, deep cuts all over their bodies. Hell, some of the cuts even showed bits of their bones. That's how bad the train hit them. The speed the train struck the girls at was 60 miles an hour, deeming the girls completely dead, meaning that their screams were the last thing anyone heard from them before dying a horrible death. The crew immediately called emergency services. When police officers and paramedics arrived to retrieve the bodies, to their utter shock, they found nothing. No signs of movement or blood trail despite the immense injuries, no footsteps, nothing. It's like they just disappeared within the snap of a finger. The crew, along with the police officers and paramedics that arrived on the scene, searched high and low for the girls. But they all came back for the same thing. Absolutely nothing. They are still declared missing to this very day. Over the course of 20 plus years, both train crews and townsfolk alike have seen two little girls that looked exactly like Lily and Abigail on certain nights, whether it be at the train station or on the track. Witness accounts fluctuated when it came to these girls. Some say they heard them just talking, others say they're just going for a good old walk, others say they were just looking back at memories of the town they used to grow up in. But for train crews, it was something much, much darker. No one knows how, but all their experiences involved the exact same thing. The girls' eyes were as hollow as tunnels, and tentacles came out both their eye sockets and mouths. It is unknown how the girls were able to lose their eyes and obtain tentacles, though one of the train crews did say that they were possessed by demons, though that couldn't be confirmed, and I don't think it ever will be. I even had an encounter with the girls too, and holy fuck was it terrifying. Like, I had never had such a horrendous, nightmare-fueled, soul-crushing, traumatizing experience in my entire life. And that says a lot, because I've been roaming these rails for more than 10 fucking years.
You sound like you've had it tough. What happened?
It all happened one night, 2 years before Conrail was established. Me and a few friends of mine were taking a freight train, but then we heard some weird sounds coming from the forest, so we came to a stop. Then out of the bushes, well, Lily and Abigail, or whatever the hell was left of them, it was the most disturbing sight I've ever seen. They had tentacles flapping out of their eyes and mouths, and they were just screaming, and I can still hear their screams to this day. We shoved back immediately, went as fast as we could, but then the girls cornered us. But something within me snapped. I shot forward and I ran over the girls. I felt their bodies crunching under my wheels as I rolled along, and oh my god, I can still hear their pain-filled screams to this day, and it haunts the living shit out of me. And my god, I've never gone so fast in my life. When we dropped off our goods, we went to the shed, and that was that. We were lucky enough to be spared. Similar to how you two got spared, and a hell of a lot of locomotives in their crew got spared as well, but others, they weren't so lucky. When they got, how do I say this? When no one came to their rescue, they were sent to hell to run alongside the girls for all eternity. And that's the end of the story. It's not the most fun, I know, but just heed this as a message to always be careful when you're roaming around at night. Because not everything is what they seem. Because you never know whatever shithead will be waiting in the shadows, ready to just cut you up into pieces of scrap. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm sorry if I disturbed you guys even more. But you asked. Well, I'll see you guys later. And with that, Tony left the yard, leaving Thomas and Gary absolutely stunned. Fenders and funnels, that was dark.
I know. I mean, Tony isn't the brightest of guys at times, but I was not expecting him to have his own encounter with them, let alone know their backstory and how they died so gruesomely. Like, what?
I mean, it was pretty confronting to hear about that. But do you think Lily and Abigail will ever find peace?
Probably not.
Just then, the yard foreman appeared and walked over to the two engines. Ah, Thomas, Gary, good to see you got back safely from your night run. Hopefully things didn't get too complex for the two of you. Oh, you've got no idea. What was that, Thomas? Oh, nothing. Good. Okay, now what did I come in for again? Oh yeah, there's a freight train that needs to be taken to New York City. Do you two think you can do it? Of course, sir. Sweet. Your train's just over on that siding to the right. Just pick it up and take it to New York City and we'll be squared away. Alright, we'll get right onto it, sir. You're a good engine, Thomas. I'm glad we got you to help us. Thanks. Well, we'll get this train out of it for you. Good. Alright, I'll catch you two later. With heavy hearts, Thomas and Gary made their way over to the siding to pick up their train. As they soared down the track, Thomas couldn't stop thinking about Lily and Abigail. Sure, what they went through last night with them was absolute hell, but deep down, he felt bad for the girls. They didn't ask to die at such a horrible death, nor did they ask to die at such a young age. And Thomas couldn't help but think, was there any way for the girls to find peace and be free from their curse? Sadly, that question would not be answered for a very long time.
And my heart starts vanishing, and suddenly I see that I can't break free. I'm slipping through the cracks of a dark eternity with nothing but my pain and a paralyzing agony to tell me who I am, who I was. I'm certain.
In 1981, Conrail was finally starting to turn a profit after 5 years of struggling. By that time, Edward Jordan had stepped down as CEO of Conrail, and he was replaced by Stanley Crane. By the time 1981 had ended, Conrail's profits were starting to climb higher and higher, meaning Thomas was no longer needed on the Conrail system. So by early 1982, the Little Blue Tank Engine was sent on a ship back to Sodor. While he was extremely happy to be going back and seeing his friends again, he felt a little sad because he was going to leave all his friends behind and the good country of America. Especially Gary, who had grown particularly close with during his time on the Conrail system. On the summer of 1999, Conrail ended up getting split between CSX and Norfolk Southern, with Norfolk Southern receiving 58% of Conrail's assets and trackage, and CSX receiving 42% of Conrail's assets and trackage. For the next 15 years, both Norfolk Southern and CSX would patch their ex-Conrail locomotives and would eventually repaint them into their respective color schemes. All except Norfolk Southern C40-8 number 8312 would receive the repainting treatment. Instead, 8312 was retired from service in 2014 while still retaining its Conrail blue livery. As for Thomas, he's still running on the Northwestern Railway to this very day. However, on certain days and nights, Thomas would think back to the time when he and Gary encountered Lily and Abigail and almost lost their lives to them. Thomas always thought about the girls, from their backstory to their horrible deaths and their horrific spirits. Every time the thought of those girls crossed his mind, he always wondered, was there a way to free Abby and Lily from their curse? Will they ever find peace and let go? Sadly, not everything is salvageable. Thomas had to find that out the hard way. It had been over 2 decades since Thomas was last in the Conrail system, but that fateful encounter on that fateful night will always be on his mind for all of his existence.
Tell me what to say, you could tell me where to go, but I doubt that I would care, and my heart would never know. If I make another move, there'll be no more turning back, because everything would change and it all would fade to black. Maybe it's a dream, maybe nothing else is real, but it wouldn't mean a thing if I told you how I feel. So I'm tired of all